Hi guys, welcome to another amazing episode of Lola's Voice. My name is Lola Guntadi and I'm your host on this channel. On today's episode, I have a guest and we're going to be talking about a very, important topic that, a lot of people try to shy away from. We're going to be talking about a mental health topic, and it's also a social, it could be categorized under mental health, and it could also be categorized under social issues. We're going to be talking about grief, grief and discussing grief. I don't want to discuss the topic alone. I have a guest with me who is a licensed clinician and who has experience in something like this, and is going to help us shed more light into grief, looking at what has been happening all over the world in the last 2, 3, 4 years, COVID, pandemic. Everybody has kind of not almost have a taste, but everybody has had a fair share of grief across the globe. Even if you're not directly affected, sometimes when we hear news about other people, about what is happening to other family, it just kind of affect us. It just kind of made things difficult for us as well. So how can we cope with all these things, and how can we be more informed with all these things? Introducing my guest, Mr. Adekunle Adeite. Good afternoon. Welcome to Lola's Voice. Thank you for joining me on Lola's Voice today. And, the topic I'm going to be talking about, or I want us to discuss, is grief. So in layman's English, in layman's term, what is grief? How can we define grief? And what are those things that we can grieve over?
Grief is simply the emotional response to a loss. So what is a loss? Something you lose and you will definitely miss. Sometimes, you lose something, but you don't even realize they're missing. So there's no way you're going to grieve on such a thing.
True.
Say you use a, toilet paper and probably you can't throw them out of your window and you kept them in your pocket. And then you get to another place and you realize the toilet paper was no longer in your pocket. You're not going to miss that toilet paper. So that can be a loss that can be categorized as a grief. But something that you lose and you will miss, like a loved one, to death, like a job, or like an opportunity that you expected to get, but you did not get, or a relationship, anything that is of importance to you that you will lose and you will miss. Your reaction to that loss is called grief.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the explanation. I know people grieve things differently. And, the biggest form of grief, and I think that's what we all know, we are all aware of, is the death of lost ones. It's the loss of the loved ones, and it could happen at any age and at any time.
Yep.
Looking at the pandemic, looking at what has been happening all across the globe. Like few days ago, we had earthquake happen in Turkey, and as at this afternoon, one popular footballer, was said to have passed away in that earthquake. For example, I don't even know who that person is, but when I was looking at the date of birth, I saw 1992.
Imagine that.
I'm like, that is my age mate. I felt that, and it's gonna, I'm gonna feel it. I'm gonna, maybe this night I'm gonna think about it, like, oh, people that are even your age mate, people that are not even up to your age, they are dying. Like, how can we? So it's two questions now. For the people that have lost their loved ones, how can they manage the process? How can they manage the emotions? And do time really heal? Because do time really heal? Because when you lost a job opportunity, with time you're gonna get that back. Like if you put in another effort, you would, you'll be sad, but you can always interview, you can always get another job. If you're mourning your relationship, maybe if you have an heartbreak or something, eventually you probably get over it. But I think there is one loss that you can never get over, because that person is never going to come back. How then do we come to start accepting this loss?
Okay. You see, there's this popular saying, the loss of a doll to a child is the same as the loss of a crown to a king. So we cannot minimize loss.
Okay.
What you take to be just by the way. It's what means the whole world to somebody else.
True.
Where we come from, the Yoruba people will say, "Ebi ló ń pa ni bákan náà, ọ̀rọ̀ ò kì í dùn ni bákan náà." That is, we all get hungry, probably the same way. But our reaction to things that are said to us, to things that happen to us, cannot be the same. But the most common grief that the most common event that people attribute to grief is death. Why is that? Because it's irreversible.
Okay, that's the word.
When someone is dead, they are dead. Final, finito. You are not going to see them again except in your dreams. Or unless you believe in reincarnation or, some other mysteries. That is not the focus of this interview. But you can still grieve even, you will see someone, they will lose maybe a father, maybe they won't probably cry. But when they lose a girlfriend, they will cry, or lose a job, or even their football team, their favorite soccer team, loses a match. So the reaction cannot be quantified, so to speak, based on events. But what we understand about grief is, according to a foremost psychiatrist those days in the 60s, she wrote a book. She was the first person to actually study grief. And she made us realize there are 5 stages to grieving. And later she revised that and made it 7.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So while I was researching this topic we're talking about, and following the pattern of following the discussion of what you just explained earlier on, I came in contact with like stages of grief. And like you said earlier on, someone wrote 5, then initially changed it to 7. Okay, I'm not sure if I got up to 7 during my research. I think I had like 6. But does it have to happen sequentially?
No.
So it could fall into different categories.
We grieve differently.
Oh, okay.
The process is different from people to people. The 5 common stages: denial, anger, bargaining, acceptance, and depression, right?
Yeah.
So one will expect the grief process to follow the same sequence. But no, it wouldn't. A lot of psychiatrists, clinicians think the final stage will be the acceptance. And once you have accepted, that means you've overcome to a certain extent. But what if you accept today and
tomorrow,
in 2 days, you are missing that person? Now, in terms of death. What if you accept? So it doesn't have to follow the same sequence, and it does not mean, oh, you must be in denial for 3 months, then angry for 3 months. No, it doesn't. There's no time frame, and there's no sequence. You just have to take the process, follow the process as it applies to you, because our configuration is different. So there's no sequence in the process of grieving.
So it's okay to experience all of those. You're going to eventually experience all of those stages, but you're not sure.
You may not experience all of the stages. You may skip some stages. Some people may skip. Some people may go through all those stages. But it doesn't mean they will follow the same sequence. But one thing is common, and that is when that person that propounded, the suggestion of the 5 stages, that's why she revised it to Elizabeth Kubler.
So what are the other 2?
Shock and testing.
What does testing mean?
Testing means you try various things that will work.
To wake them up?
No, that will work for you to overcome the grief.
Okay.
Maybe you should go to therapy. Maybe you should start
travel.
out. Maybe you should travel. Maybe you should change your environment. Maybe you should marry a new husband or wife. Testing. You test different things and to figure out what will work for you. The first one is shock. And I think that applies to everybody in that process. I
just saw this person like a few minutes ago, because we've experienced something like that.
Like when my mother passed away, I spoke with her like 1 hour earlier. Then my brother called me and said she passed away.
Be like,
So, and I can't believe it. I mean, what are you saying? I just spoke with this person.
Okay, I see. And, they are really important things, especially that testing.
Exactly.
People do that, but we don't have a nomenclature for it.
It's called testing.
Okay. one of the most difficult conversations to have, or one of the most difficult people to reach out to, is people who have just lost loved ones. And it's not like people can't reach out to them, but the fear of not knowing what to say that is going to trigger any form of emotions. And you know, like your friend just lost their mom. You don't have the words. That's your person. They are hurting. So, or you know, they just lost their spouse. You just lost a friend. You just so how do we communicate with this person? Because I've spoken to people that have lost loved ones, and trust me, they do take it to heart that, oh, this person didn't reach out to me. Because when it's time for enjoyment and all of those things, we are all together enjoying, doing all those things. But life is not all about the good time alone. We experience the good time and the bad time. So I want to reach out to someone that have just lost someone. I don't know what to say. I don't even know how to say it. How can we communicate with our friends that have just lost loved ones, or you know, or our co-workers, people that we are not even close to, but we just feel some form of sympathy with them, empathy? You know, how can we have that conversation?
I understand what you're trying to say. So let's look at it from this angle first. Imagine you living alone in a big house. Now you hit your feet on something, maybe the wood, the bed, whatever. Ouch. If someone is around to tell you, oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry that happened, it will make you feel the pain less.
True.
I don't know how that works, but that's the truth. Unlike when you're on your own, just alone, nobody to tell you, oh, pele, oh,
I'll cry more.
you will cry more. So it's now, look, put that, just exchange that situation with losing somebody. How more painful it will be when you have to cry alone and grieve alone. There are 3 C's in grieving. You know, you have to communicate, you have to connect, you know, and probably compare. I can't remember the third one. It's been a long time I left school. But you have to reach out. We encourage people that are grieving to reach out. Now, if they reach out,
So,
who are they reaching out to?
okay.
You, their friends. So you know you had Mr. Smith lost his father. As a friend, as a nice person, you are supposed to pick your phone or pay them a visit. Keep it short. That is the key. And do not ask too much questions.
What happened? How did
How did it happen? You know, like Yoruba would say, she wants to tell any. I mean, what are you? Unnecessary question. Keep it simple. Just commiserate. Oh, I'm sorry it happened. What can I do to help? Ask.
True. So
What you can do to
what
help.
can I do to help?
To help. Let them tell you what they need you to do.
Okay.
To help them. Don't start forcing over them.
Conversation.
Come in every day. You come in the morning, you come in the afternoon, overwhelming them with hospitality, with being nice. No. Probably that's not what they need, because you don't know how that person will react to that grief. So, but make yourself available. If you need anything, let me know.
Okay, so that's true. Don't overwhelm
Don't
them.
overwhelm them.
But if you need anything.
Yes, some people just want to be alone. You know, one of the symptoms of depression is irritability.
True.
And depression is one of the stages of grief. So you don't know if that person is at that stage at that time. They are irritable. They don't want to talk to anybody. I'm not saying it's okay, but give them a little space. Respect their space. Make yourself available. Let them know if they need help, you are here. They want to talk to somebody, you are available. That's all you need to do, but reach out.
Okay, always reach out.
Always reach out.
But the question is, what can we say? Like, for example, if you want to send a text, you know, if it was me, I would just be like, hey, you know, accept my condolence, you know, I wish you, you know, I don't even know.
For me, this is what I would do. And this is not as a therapist, this is as a regular human being. I will, if I hear a friend lost their mom or dad or loved someone, I will call them. How are you? I heard what happened, though. I'm so sorry to hear that. So what's happening? How you been? They'll say, oh, I'm here. Oh. They might start crying, you know, and say, I'm thinking of paying you a visit. When is a good time for me to come?
Okay.
They will tell me when to come. When I'm going, I might buy some gift, because I know if the person is single, what I will take along will be different. If they are married, what I would take along is different. If they are single, maybe they are not cooking. I can ask my wife to make them a bowl of soup or something and take to them, buy them a gift, stay a few minutes with them. And when I get there, if I see their frame of mind, for example, most people, when they are grieving someone that was healed for a long time before they pass, it's easier on them.
Because they already...
They already expect it somehow. But if it is sudden, like this earthquake and accident and stuff, it's prolonged. You know, I mean, it's instant, it's unexpected. So what I would take to that person will be different from what I would take to someone that had a loved one sick for a long time. So it's situational. And, you know, in all this, even in therapy generally, there is no one-size-fits-all situation.
It's really individualistic.
You just have to be connected to your emotional intelligence. Read the situation. Know the person. That's just it.
So still reach out, like it is important. Reach out via text, via calls, depending on the kind of relationship you have with that person. But it is important to still always reach out to people who have lost loved ones or even, you know, lost a relationship. If they tell you about it, still, you know, don't worry, it's going to get better. And
like in the case of that losing relationship, please, when you go there, do not say I told you so. Nobody want to hear I told you so. Even when it is obvious they were wrong. So keep that opinion to yourself for that moment. Oh, and I told you so. I told you that guy is not good for you. I told you that girl is a gold digger. No, keep it to yourself. Nobody wants to hear that at that time. Just go there, commiserate. That's all you need to do.
Thank you for that. Now we've talked about how people can assist people, how people can communicate with people that are grieving and all of those things. So my question is going to be those that actually lost something. It's going to be for those that actually lost something. So this is that question right now. Like, do time really heal? And, you know, how can they really manage the situation?
Well, time heals almost all wounds. But you see, where we come from, sorry, I speak a lot of Yoruba.
That's
we
fine.
said, Ojo akpa o le jojo ara.
True.
Things can never go back to the way they were before they lost.
True.
So, myself as an example, I lost my mother over 15 years ago. There are still times I feel like saying things to her. I'm a mama's boy, you know, last born. I want to say something. Things you can't say to your wife, you can't say to your children. Some things you want to brag about. Oh, I did this, mama. You can only say that to your mother so she can be proud. But she's not there. So those times, you will miss them. But it will not be the way it was 15 years ago.
True.
So time has healed the wound, even though there are still some scars. But you've healed to a certain extent. Yes, time will heal. And that is why in mental health, we have different diagnoses for grief. When it is acute, it's different. But when it is prolonged, like there's a different, you know, diagnosis for that if it's extending beyond 1 year. And nobody says people can't grieve for 2-3 years. People grieve, but when it comes to that extent, it's prolonged to that extent, then it's a different thing. Then it's a different approach. And by the way, let's say this to people. Dr. Google is very good, but Dr. Google is not actually a doctor. Dr. Google is not a clinician. So people Google things a lot. You get fractions of information here and there, but you still need to talk to your mental health practitioner, to the professionals to help you. It's good to seek help. There are a lot of support groups, especially in the United States, that you can join, you know, and, you know, you have people that you have similar trauma in that group. But do not put your recovery or your rehabilitation or your well-being in the hands of Dr. Google. So you will get a lot of information over the internet, and it's not always...
Be overwhelmed.
Yes, you'll be overwhelmed, and some are not even correct because your situation is peculiar to you.
That's true.
So yes, time heals the wound.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us on Lola's Voice today. I hope you've learned one or two things that can actually help. And I wish every grieving soul healing. I don't know. What do I
Amen.
wish them?
Well, we wish them healing. That's
Okay.
all.
All right.
And we just sympathize, empathize. That's all we can do.
All right. Thank you very much for joining me on Lola's
And
Voice.
encourage them to reach out too,
Okay.
to people, to friends, to family, to their providers. You can't do it alone. Nobody can do it alone. It can be overwhelming at times, but reach out.
All right. Thank you very much. That
You're
was
welcome.
short, precise, and easy. Thank you for joining me on Lola's Voice today. If you like the video, please share, leave your comments in this comment section. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you very much. If you've not subscribed, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lola's Voice. Thank you.